This episode is sponsored by, I'm just playing, but I do have two things for you today. So we recently released a mini prospecting course, 100% free to access, where I break down the script that my last team used to go from 6 meetings a month to 60 meetings per month. There's a lesson on how to write great first outbound emails, and then there's another lesson on video and voice note prospecting and best practices, and there's so much more in the course as well. If you want to get free access, just click the link in the description below. Now, alternatively, I said there's a second thing. Maybe you don't need prospecting support, but maybe you need help running better demos or scoring your deals with MedPick, or you need help with prospects that are ghosting you. If this is the case and you want to unlock some of these trainings and resources, go ahead and join the prospecting course anyway, because you'll find there's other resources and more content in the mini content vault folder. So go sign up today and unlock these resources. Right, let's get into the episode. All right, guys, really excited for the episode today. We're about to go out, hit the beach and have a nice coffee, but I just wanted to get in here. I've just finished building the Sales Readiness Playbook. Really excited to bring it to you guys today. So that's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. I want to give you a really quick business update, bit of a life update, things that I'm loving at the moment, and then we'll jump into the episode. So what I've been up to from a business perspective in the last, say, 30 days, we've been heads down, really kind of working hard on helping our customers have a successful end to 2025. We've also acquired a bunch of new sales organizations that we're going to be working with in 2026 to help optimize and modernize their sales skills. So I'll be sharing more about that over the next couple of months. I've also been really heads down in the last 30 days. One of our most popular learning paths in the sales university and with the sales teams that we work with is our MedPick Ready learning path. But as we've kind of seen over the last 12, 18 months, the game is changing, continuously evolving. So our content has to as well. So I've been heads down for the last 30 days, deep into the tools, into the playbooks, and rebuilding that. And now I have the fun job to re-record 140 lessons or whatever it is in that learning path, and bring that out to our customers. So looking forward to delivering that in Q1. I've also spent the last week over the Christmas period where it's quiet and I'm not on calls every 5 minutes, building out the new playbook, which I'm going to be giving you some insights into today, which is really exciting. And I feel like we have to do something about this in 2026. Otherwise, we're just going to keep making the same mistakes over and over again and burning out our managers, burning out our sales reps, and also just absolutely leaving so much money on the table. So I'll get into this today. And then a little device that I've been using. This isn't sponsored by any means. I've got it here. It's called the Brick. Really, really cool device. It stays in my home office at the bottom of the garden. I just synced it with my iPhone. I tap the brick at the end of the day. And in the settings, I've just set up schedules. So once I tap it and I walk out that door, I can't access Slack, WhatsApp Business, email, the internet, LinkedIn, any social media apps. I can literally only access phone calls, personal WhatsApp, and then my camera, so I can take photos and videos of my son, who's got a 2-year-old boy. He's 2 years in a couple of weeks. So I just want to make sure I can capture those moments. Just feel like everyone's fighting for our attention. And I've had this thing off now. I'll tell you, let me grab my phone. They say you've been bricked. So let me have a look here. Where is it? I've been bricked for 142 hours. So I've not had access to any of those apps on my phone for 142 hours, 10 minutes and 17 seconds. And I'm loving it. It was like £49. So yeah, if you've got a challenge with switching off and being more present with your family, or just being more focused at work because everyone's trying to fight for your attention, I'd highly recommend grabbing one. It's called the Brick. And then kind of business related, I put it through the business, but also something that we obviously use in the family here is I've been looking at them for like 2 years. You probably can't see it. It's probably out of shot over there somewhere if you're watching this on YouTube. Is a Sage coffee machine. Massive coffee lover, go out every morning, spend stupid amount at my local Starbucks. And yeah, I've been looking at these Sage coffee machines for ages, decided to pull the trigger on Black Friday. I'm enjoying a nice oat flat white as we speak now. If you're looking at a good coffee machine, this one's amazing. It's the Sage Barista Express, I think. Send me a LinkedIn message or an email, james@jamesbissell.com, and I'll share the details with you. The coffee beans I'm using are Trading Post is the brand. The one that I'm enjoying at the moment is called Green Monkey. It's really, really strong, really, really nice. They've got some good winter blends and things like that. So yeah, definitely recommend checking them out. Anyway, life update, business update over. We're here to talk about ramping account executives specifically. I've been burnt and made a load of these mistakes. I've been a VP of sales twice. If you haven't been following the podcast or following me on LinkedIn, I'm James. I'm a 2 times VP of sales. Been in sales for 15 years now. I'm the founder of a business called the Revenue Enabler. Quit my job 2 years ago, about 3 months before our son was born, to start this business. Just saw so much opportunity to help other organizations and individual contributors close skill gaps. I say this all of the time. Nobody gets a degree in B2B sales. Majority of us stumble into this amazing profession called sales, but unfortunately we don't get any formal qualification or any formal training. Most of us go our entire career without any formal training. I was lucky at some point to get some decent training, but it was 3 days out of the office, and it was 8 years into my sales career, and that was 7 years ago. So definitely a massive opportunity for us all moving into 2026. And what I'm talking to us about today is about ramping account executives. And the old model should never have been a model in the first place, but the old model is absolutely broken and it has to be ripped up and recreated. And that's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. I've just been writing this new ebook. It's called the Sales Readiness Playbook. You'll be able to get a copy in the description if you're watching this on YouTube or Apple Podcast or Spotify. If you can't find it, just send me a LinkedIn message or an email, james@jamesbissell.com, and I will make sure that you get a copy sent over to you, okay? So one thing I just want you to stop and think about for just 1 second, all right? Now, if I was to ask you this question, and you had to be genuinely honest, like how many would pass the test? Imagine if you had to get your AEs on Monday morning, first day back in 2026, and you had to ask them or get them to demonstrate to you their readiness, are they sales ready? Can they demonstrate critical selling skills that are required in 2026 to build pipeline and drive deals through the funnel into close one? How many would actually pass the test? The uncomfortable truth, guys, is that very few people, when I ask this to VPs of sales and CROs, most of the time they say no. I guess that's why they've reached out to kick off a conversation. But that is the harsh reality, is most organizations declare their salespeople as ramped at 3 or 6 months in their role based on time in seat, like learning content consumed, tools or CRM access provided, and then kind of putting in some activity metrics, making some cold calls. But can they really run an effective discovery call, really strong deal qualification? Can they build a CFO ready business case? Can they navigate the 5, 10, 15, 20 people buying committees? Can they do late stage deal negotiation without you having to jump in and rescue them or save the deal, right? Or completely take over. Okay. And that is the problem that we face in 2026. It's something we face in 2025 and 2024 and 2023. And for as long as I've been in sales, like this has been a massive problem that we seem to just, that person didn't work out. That's a recruitment problem. The recruiter didn't send us the right candidate, et cetera, et cetera. But the harsh reality is we can't just sit there and rely on recruiting elite salespeople, A players. They're too expensive. There's not enough of them. So we have to think about, well, how do I take C's and B players that have got the right characteristics, work ethic, intelligence, trainability, coachability, accountability, that kind of stuff. How can I qualify them on those characteristics? How do I actually kind of set them up for success? And that's what we're going to talk about today. That's what we're going to talk about inside of the Sales Readiness Playbook, okay? So traditional ramp just fails, right? It's never been a real model, but unfortunately, it's a pattern that we all recognize in our VPs or sales leadership roles, okay? Pipeline looks full, it starts to fill up, but the quality is really, really terrible. Deals start to stall early, mid, late stages. They were never really deals in the first place. There's never any real buyer commitment in any of those opportunities. Or the forecast turns into an interrogation, and then you walk out of that feeling like you've got nothing solid to go and tell the board or tell your boss if you're a sales manager or a sales leader. And as a manager, you spend 12, 15, 20 hours, if not more, of your week, every single week, trying to rescue deals or jump in and completely take over when you could be spending that time on strategy or coaching your sellers to close even more skill gaps, okay? And the problem is it's getting worse every year, especially with AI now, and AI is getting way more sophisticated. It's definitely getting absolutely worse. Buying environments have completely changed. We know that. Buyers are more informed. They've got AI. We're getting signups through our business through ChatGPT and other AI tools. So people are going to AI. they're asking questions, and AI is giving them risks, right? So people are more informed and they're skeptical. Why are they skeptical? Well, they've gone years buying software or technology or services from salespeople that never followed through on what the sales rep promised. So their guard is up. All right. So it takes a different type of salesperson to approach that situation today. Okay. Buying committees are bigger. Like if you go into most offices, like their cultural values are collaboration. The problem with that is when it goes to the COO or the CFO, and when someone's asking for budget, they're like, hey, did you speak to this group? Did you speak to this team? Did you speak to this person? Remember, our core values here at this business is around collaboration. We're trying to foster a culture of collaboration, which means buying committees are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's only going to keep growing. Okay. 12 or 18 month sales cycles for enterprise deals and mid-market deals are getting longer as well, right? Even SMB deals. I'm in some WhatsApp groups and people are saying SMB deals are taking 2 to 3 times the time that they used to take. Okay. The game is changing. We know that. And the status quo has always been a problem. It's becoming worse and worse. Okay. I do also think with the rise of AI, like I'm vibe coding a lot of SaaS apps at the moment for my customers. And I do feel like we're going to go through a massive shift and a change in the next kind of 12 or 18 months. There's 4 types of competitors that you run into. You've got direct, you've got competing initiatives or competing projects, you've got the status quo. And one that everyone usually kind of doesn't worry about too much is DIY. When I was building HR software teams, we used to see this quite a bit. They try and build a better performance management process in a spreadsheet or in a Word document or a Google Doc. But now VPs of HR, heads of marketing, they can go to tools like Lovable and vibe code an app in 5 minutes. Like I built a video tool that can create videos a bit like a Loom or a Vidyard, made it in like 7 or 8 minutes. Right. So like it's the DIY kind of competitor is going to become more active in our deals. And we need to understand, how do we overcome that? What skills do we need to overcome that? Right. What used to work, some of it will still work. Like I'm not saying nothing's dead. Nothing's really, officially dead. There's still a place for it. It's not the most effective or efficient way for us to go to market and acquire customers. Right. So we're going to continue to see inflated pipelines, late stage deal slippage, late stage deal negotiations where we're using discounts to drive closes, not confidently asking through building a business case and good cost justification. And it's going to be burnout everywhere. SDRs, AEs, frontline sales managers, sales leadership. Okay. So the shift that we need to make, or the requirement, is away from time in seat does not equal sales readiness. I speak to a lot of VPs of sales, a lot of CROs, like, hey, our ramp time is 6 or 9 months. Like we need to move away from that mentality, which is, we ramp reps when they're able to build a CFO ready business case. And we've got skill certifications in place to be able to help them do that. And these are the building blocks to get there: good discovery, active listening, compelling storytelling, whatever it might be. Right. So we must move from time served to capability proven, from LMS stages or modules completion to skill certification, or activity metrics to execution standards. We need to better put our sellers through a process and certify them. Just think about like a driving test. We need to go through learning, then we need to do some of it, then we need to get some feedback, then we need to do it again, and then we need to sign people off before we put them on the road. Same thing with our sellers. This is one of the toughest professions in any organization, and nobody gets a degree in B2B sales. So we need to enable them to go and put their best foot forward, set them up for success. So a couple of things I want to talk to you about inside of this playbook, inside of this ebook that you can download in the show notes or by dropping me a LinkedIn message or an email, is the revenue ramp framework. It's a 4-stage kind of framework process that builds sales ready teams. Okay. I've got a couple of kind of notes here for you here. So you've basically got the kind of 4 buckets. I'm not going into too much detail because this podcast is already 13 minutes and it'll become a 3-hour podcast episode, but it starts with getting recruitment right in the first place. Okay. We have to start qualifying people on trainability, coachability, intelligence, curiosity, accountability, these kind of things. Don't worry too much about experience. Have they been an enterprise sales rep for 5 years? Doesn't mean doesn't mean they're sales ready. Doesn't mean they're effective salespeople. Doesn't mean they've not got loads of bad habits. Doesn't mean that they haven't just come from working from a high inbound sales organization that's got one of the best brands in the market. Yeah, experience doesn't really matter if they can't demonstrate and prove to you they have the skills required to be successful with your context. Okay. One of the big game changers that I implemented when I was a VP of sales, I love it. The template and the Google Doc that you can give to people is inside the playbook. It's called AE driven job descriptions. So, like, either before they start or 1 week in the role, you have them write down. It's a bit of an exercise to test them, and you get them to write down all of the important areas about their job description. What are the activity metrics? Who are the ICPs? What are our persona statements? How do we articulate business value? What are our demo flows? How do we build a business case? How do we use medic across the sales process? All of that kind of stuff, right? And you get them to fill it out to reinforce what's important, but test where the gaps are. And then we close those gaps through coaching and through continuous learning. Okay. So the first part, well, the R, I guess, in the ramp framework is recruit right. Get recruitment right in the first place. Okay. The second part, the A, is align on standards. Okay. So get the playbook, get it documented. I'm not talking about a PDF in SharePoint or like a Google Doc somewhere with like 1,000 tabs. Like, this has to be super specific, has to be laid out well, has to be easy to use, easy to navigate. There shouldn't be any gaps. I want you to think long and hard about this when you're going through the implementation roadmap inside of the playbook. When you download it, it talks about kind of stepping back from the business, looking from the outside in, putting yourself in the AE shoes. Where would the gaps be? Where would I be confused? Where would I need extra clarity? Write that stuff down and then work through that list building out, and then store it inside of your playbook so that when that new seller is about to join your business, like 2 to 4 weeks out, we should be shipping this stuff to them when they're on garden leave or when they're winding down in their current role, getting ready to ramp into your role. We should be feeding this stuff. I genuinely believe account executives should be making cold calls in the afternoon of their first day in the business. Why shouldn't they? If we remove all the fluff and stuff that's not relevant, kind of move things out of people's way, give them a list of closed loss opportunities or ebook download leads, people that download ebooks or whatever it might be, or sign up to webinars, put them in front of people. They're going to be easier conversations. And in the morning, get them set up on tools, do a bit of role play, do some kind of pitch certification, then send them off and then use that as an opportunity to learn. I did a post about this the other day on LinkedIn. Go check it out. Okay. So R is around recruitment. A is around alignment. The M of ramp, my new ramp framework, is around mastery. Okay. Mastering critical selling skills. Okay. Readiness must be proven, not just assumed. Not like, oh, that person completed that course, they must now have those skills. Like, they have to be able to demonstrate and prove to you that they can do it, right? And I'm talking about structured learning paths with certification gates. Like, you've got your sales process and you've got your stage-by-stage exit criteria. We need to satisfy and achieve these things before we move from stage 1 to 2 or 2 to 3. Same thing here. We can't move from this learning path to the next until we've been certified, and that requires certification gates, okay? Pitch practice. Leverage AI. I'm vibe coding AI tools where you can basically just run a pitch as an account executive or an SDR, have AI give you feedback. What did you do well? What needs to be improved? Run it again, and then have it submit to the manager so that the manager isn't being kind of slowed down or creating a bottleneck with like the basics. Allow AI and the learning path to feed the seller the best practices. And then once the pitch hits the manager's desk, it's pretty much ready for approval. Still requires eyeballs and somebody to look at it and approve it or decline it, kick it back with some feedback. But you're going to get a much better quality pitch submission if they've gone through an AI submission first. Role plays, like when I'm out running programs with teams of 5 or 50, one of the biggest parts of it is around role plays. It's mad. We go through a training exercise and we don't practice internally, but we go and practice on the chief marketing officer or the VP of engineering or the CEO. Like, why would we do that? We should be practicing internally. We need to apply these skills. We need to fine tune them. We need to optimize them. And then we need to go into the wild, into live sales conversations and implement them and ideally put our best foot forward so we're not burning and wasting opportunities. Shadow or reverse shadow and deal simulations. Like, get a rep to run through, a deal that's in another person's name in the sales process or one of their deals they've, just put into qualification, and get them to do a pitch to you on why that deal belongs in the forecast and why it should be taken out or if it should be taken out and for what reasons, where are the gaps, what are they going to go and do to mitigate the risk. Okay. But you earn responsibility by proving the skills, and that's non-negotiable. The non-negotiable for me. Definitely need some more of that coffee. And look, we've been doing this with lots of sales organizations. You'll see on our website, we've just published a really, really powerful video testimonial case study with SEP2 cybersecurity team, Jake Newbury, and the sales leadership team there are world class. We've been working with them for, I don't know, 14 months, something like that. Revenue's up at the company 45%. Win rates are up 75%. Their average deal size is up 31%. One rep went from a 4% win rate to a 31% win rate. Absolutely bonkers. Their rep retention is like 120%. Everything's just clicking. That's because they're just putting in the right building blocks to set their sellers up for success. And they're not hiring, your enterprise AEs from Salesforce. They're taking grads off the street, bringing them into a program, and then promoting them through different sales segments. World-class business, world-class sales leadership. And that's what the power of doing this stuff correctly. So you've got R, recruit, A is align, M is mastery, and then P is perform and scale. Okay. Now, you don't just set people up and say, cool, you're good to go. We need to do continuous development, not one-time onboarding. We know one and done training doesn't work. The forgetting curve, there's research out there. This dude called Ebbinghaus came up with this research paper years and years and years ago. He, analyzed and studied thousands of people that went through some kind of training, and he found like 80%, 90% of that information was forgotten within the first week. I think you forget like 40% in the first 20 minutes of the training. So one and done training does not work. Do not buy one and done training. Your training partner, your internal training organization, your sales enablement function that does the training, or if you're a VP of sales and you don't have a training budget and you need to do this yourself, like you need to think about reinforcement. How am I going to reinforce this training to drive long-term behavior change and knowledge retention? If you don't have that system in place, or your partner, business, your training partner doesn't, then give me a call. Like, it's a big part of what we do with sales organizations is train them, on the skills, and then help them optimize and modernize those skills through reinforcement, training, coaching, role play, exercises, workshops, deal clinics, loads of different things. Okay. Some other things to think about is Ramp 360, ongoing progression plans. Like, if we know that people are going to come and go in our business and we want to improve our seller retention rates, you need to be continuously dangling a carrot in front of your account executives and your SDRs. Right? One of the things that I love doing when I was a sales leader is having micro promotions. Don't have to wait 12 months to get a pay rise or to get a promotion. Do it every like 3 or 6 months and include skill-based certification, not just revenue performance in there as well, because that keeps people focused. As we know, anyone listening to this, an SDR listening, an AE, a VP of sales, a CRO, a founder, as salespeople, we do what's inside of our compensation plan. If I wanted to drive 3-year contracts for my sales organization, I used to put it into the compensation plan. If you hit your target, but there was no 3-year contracts, you didn't get paid on those deals. Guess what happened? Everyone started closing 3-year deals. So, make sure you put some of this stuff into the compensation plan. If you really want to drive this obsession in your business around skill development, skill progression, build that in as a Ramp 360. The reason I call it Ramp 360, people never stop ramping. We ramp them into their role they've come on board for, an account executive, but then we want to ramp them to senior AE, senior AE level 1, enterprise AE level 1, etc., etc. The ramp cycle is a 360. It's continuously running. It's a flywheel. And that's a really good kind of segue into the next thing that I'll talk to you about when it comes to perform and scale, continuous development, is this thing I built called the skill optimization flywheel. You audit skills using data, you design content, training material, you deliver the training in workshops and in group sessions and scenario kind of situations. Then you deliver coaching, and you coach based on data. Where are the skill gaps based on those skills we're trying to implement? And then we build an enablement engine, a content vault of tools and technology and support mechanisms for those reps to go out and do that with live customers or live, prospects and live opportunities. And then that flywheel runs again. What do we need to audit next? How are things going? Do we need to rerun that training again? So on and so forth. Okay. AI sales assistants, we've been building these things for 15 months now. We've got 25, 30 of them, ones that sales leaders love a lot, like discovery coach, demo coach, business case builders, a top one for account executives, where you drop a transcript in, it uses my best practice business case template. It builds it for you in like 20, 30 seconds. And then you can just tweak it a little bit and fine tune it, but it's got all of the good context. So you could just drop your transcript into ChatGPT and say, build me a business case, but it'll be garbage. It doesn't have the context, the templates, the best practices. That's where ours do. You can build your own AI sales assistants, and you can use them for practice, for sales reinforcement, sales certifications, loads of different things. Okay. So yeah, just something to think about there. If you want that ramp framework, and there's so much more detail on it, make sure you go and download the Sales Readiness Playbook in the notes below. Okay. So you might be thinking, hey, James, you've been talking about sales ready a lot. What does ready actually mean? Got a couple of things for you here. So value articulation by buyer role. In my last organization, we exploded pipeline. We went from like booking 6 meetings a month to 60 meetings per month. Really, really simple process. I got my reps around the whiteboard. Who are the top 3 personas that buy our product the most? What do they care about? How do they get the job done without us? What sucks about doing it that way? What business metrics are impacted as a result? And then what stories can we tell to build confidence and demonstrate evidence that we can actually solve those problems and help them drive better outcomes? So how do we actually articulate value by buying role? Really, really simple. We need to build the content and enablement, and then we need to certify our reps to be able to go and do that. So can they talk about value articulation by buyer persona role? Structured discovery without manager shadowing or support. Can they actually execute world-class discovery where they're getting really deep into business impact, not just surface level problems, and then moving on to feature dumping? 3, can they do rigorous qualification? Can they kill really bad deals early? One of my favorite reports for a sales dashboard, which usually doesn't exist on most dashboards that I look at anyway, is not just how fast are we winning deals. That's always on there. What's our time to close? What's our time to lose? How quickly are we losing deals, deliberately losing deals, qualifying out? That should be really, really quick. If you look at a bar, the lost bar should be really small, way smaller than the closed one bar. Okay, so something to think about there. Multi-stakeholder navigating. Can they actually navigate stakeholder groups? Can they Can they get into buying committees? Can they build value across those buying committees? Can they identify blockers, contact influencers, champions, economic buyers? Do they actually understand who those people are before they actually go and do that? Yeah. Can they do business impact quantification? Can they build a CFO ready business case that talks about ROI models? Can they back that up with evidence? Can they talk about cost of inaction? Can they make everybody stop and think, shit, we should probably do something. This is actually costing us money right now. This is the money it's costing us today if we don't solve this problem. Deal management. Can they actually manage a deal through the process? Do they know how to nurture and keep deals moving forward when they're not on calls? We talk a lot about, sales execution on a call. Do they actually understand what to do in between meetings? How do they keep that deal moving forward? What should they be doing? And then finally, like a really good sales ready rep knows how to accurately forecast. They have evidence to back up their forecast. They sell you the forecast. They don't just say, hey, I'm going to commit 750 grand. They say, hey, these are the 3 deals that I'm going to be committing. They make up to 750K. I want to talk to you about Acme first. These are the metrics, the quantified value that we need to improve or they're expecting for us to deliver as part of the project. And that ties into the economic buyer who's John Smith, the COO. One of his board level objectives are X, Y, and Z, and this directly connects into that. Like, can they go through that level of qualification and forecasting with you? Okay. What a sales ready rep isn't is somebody that can, make 100 cold calls. They've finished a learning path. They've completed 30 days in their job, right? Those are activity metrics, not readiness. Can they actually prove something based on skills, capability? Okay. In the ebook, I talk a lot about this 90-day path to turning things around and reducing your ramp times. Okay. What some people are going to instantly think around is I can't pause hiring. I can't go back to basics. I've already got people in seat or they're in ramp at the moment. And you don't stop everything. You phase this in with new cohorts, be it a group of 5 new AEs that you're hiring, or if you're a smaller organization, like some of the ones that we work with as well, that might be I'm hiring 1 AE every quarter. Perfect. We can build the foundations, get everything ready so that when we bring that person in, we can run it through them, use them as a bit of a guinea pig, and then use data to inform where we need to fix it or make it better and make it more effective. You can also start to drip feed some of this stuff through to your existing account executives, even if they've been at your company for 10 years, because most of the time they're going to have massive skill gaps. We see it everywhere. Even high-performing salespeople, that reps that do over 100%, they still have skill gaps. Like I say all the time, nobody gets a degree in B2B sales. Some people just naturally get good at sales over time, but it doesn't mean they can't get better, which means that if we can increase revenue, we don't have to increase headcount. We're really profitable. Investors love us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So month 1 is all about foundation building. Okay. Define sales ready. Like, What does that actually mean for us? What's the observable criteria that we need to see in our business for our business context? Document our operating standards. Like, what do we care about? What do we expect from our people? This is bi-directional. I say to my teams, hey, look, I expect this from you, and this is a no-go for me. We don't cross this line. I want you to go away, come back to me in 24 hours with what you expect from me, and we're going to align on those things, lock it in, and we're going to execute. And then I want you to build and update the sales playbook and create certification rubrics and scorecards so that you can execute all of this stuff. Okay, so foundation, month 1. Month 2, infrastructure. By the way, you can do some of this stuff faster. It just depends on your context, right? Some of our customers, some of our listeners are SVPs of sales and they've got an enablement team of 5 people. Some of our customers are, we've got 5 salespeople, we've got a VP of sales and there's no enablement person, and the VP of sales is still selling. Completely different context, right? So depending on your context, you can do some of this stuff faster, a little bit longer. The point is getting it done. Okay, so month 1, foundations. Month 2, infrastructure. I don't mean like sales tools like CRM or call recording tools or forecasting tools. I'm talking about skills infrastructure and skills tools like an LMS, learning management system. So many organizations do not have a learning management system. Why would you not have a system that holds all of your learning content so that you can scale onboarding, scale skill and sales readiness? Like, why would we want to put everybody through the same live training for 8 hours in their first week and requires me to be there and do it as the VP of sales? I might be having a bad day, so I don't do it justice that it needs to. I might be off, so it's delayed. Somebody else has to do it. They do it differently. Maybe I'm doing it differently from the 6 months ago, which is when I last hired an accounting, right? Like, have the path to success. I call it path to proficiency. Right? What is that path? What do we need to do? What do they need to do? And a learning management system is a perfect tool to help you do that. They're not expensive, but it's absolutely something you should have in your infrastructure 100% in 2026. Pitch submission workflows. Again, you can have software that does this, or you can just get people to send you a Loom video of them doing the strategic narrative pitch or the discovery deck or the demo, workflow or whatever it might be. They send that Loom video, you watch it, and then you give them some feedback. And then infrastructure could be around just like huddles and things like that, or Zoom, or Teams calls for role plays. But have a brief, a buyer brief and a seller brief to make the role play real. Okay, James, you're going to pretend to be the VP of HR. This is your current state of play. I'm going to be the account executive selling this performance management software. This is what I know. This is the limited information. Let's role play, and then give people actually some scenarios to use in the role play to make it feel a little bit more real. Okay, and then month 3 is kind of pilot and refine. So run the first cohort or the first couple of reps that you're running it through. Gather some feedback from the reps, and if you've got line managers, get some feedback from the line managers. Measure their first time to deal. So how long did it take them to get their first deal over the line? I don't mean like a tiddler, like a meaningful deal. What was the quality of that deal? Was it heavily discounted? Like, did they buy everything? Did they just sell one module? Like, look at the quality of that deal. And then how much time did the manager save with that rep? If they're usually spending, I'm making this up, 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week with a specific salesperson because they're in there rescuing deals all of the time, measure the difference. You won't be able to get it to the exact second a minute, but just get the manager to keep a little bit of a log so you can look at the effectiveness of your program, okay? And then beyond those 90 days, each cohort, just keep refining the system, tracking different metrics, building out your content library, your content vault, AI tech stack, all of these different kind of moving parts of this program. Again, I put a lot more of this detail in the playbook so that you can just continuously refine and iterate and just make it better and better and better over time, okay? Cool. This is way longer than I wanted it to be. I put all of this into the Sales Readiness Playbook. Like I said, it's completely free. Inside is a full revenue ramp framework, detail, tactics, strategies, paths, everything. There's a 90-day implementation roadmap in there. There's an infrastructure checklist in there. There's templates like the job description, A-driven job description, operating standards, pitch workflows, bunch of different things. There's the case study in there that demonstrates how SEP2 went, grew revenue 45%, win rates are up 75%, all of that kind of good stuff. If you want to download it, the revenueenabler.com. So go to the revenueenabler.com. There's probably a banner somewhere. If not, go to the Learning Hub. We'll probably put its content in there somewhere. We'll put a link in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. It'll be in the description below, so go and do that. Also hit subscribe. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we'll put it in the show notes as well. Make sure you subscribe so you get all of our upcoming podcasts. If you still can't find it, shoot me a message on LinkedIn or send me an email, james@jamesbissell.com. If you want to go a little bit deeper in some of this stuff, feel free to reach out, book a strategy call. Okay, we can have a conversation, look at a custom ramp acceleration roadmap for your specific situation, for your specific business. No obligation. I'm not going to charge you for it. Like, it's completely free. We may never end up working together, but there's no obligation. I'll give you some actionable insights based on me just asking you a couple of questions about how you currently ramp up new account executives, or screw it, if you've got SDRs as well, like I've hired those teams as well in the past. So feel free to give me a call. We can jump on a strategy call and I can give you some insights. And then finally, around staying connected, like go follow me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active. Follow the podcast. We've got a newsletter with a few thousand sales leaders and salespeople that get weekly frameworks, insights, case studies, tools, templates, strategy guides, whatever it might be. Again, go to therevenueenabler.com/newsletter. Again, there's probably a link in the description below, or just go to therevenueenabler.com Learning Hub, and you will see an option there for the newsletter. And remember this as we wrap up today, the gap between appears ramped and is actually ready to go and execute the sales process has never been wider. Every year it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the teams that won in 2025 and will win even more in 2026, they prove capability. They never make any assumptions. So go and build highly trained sales-ready sales teams in 2026 and give me a shout if you need any help. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next episode of the Hit Your Numbers podcast soon, probably next week. All right, thanks for listening to this episode. I've got something else I want to give you before we wrap up here. So we've built the leading skill optimization platform with 400 plus sales lessons, 12 courses from prospecting all the way through to late stage deal negotiation and more, one-to-one sales coaching and AI sales assistance. And I want to give you 7 days free access to the platform. The reason I want to do this is because nobody gets a degree in B2B sales. And after training and coaching hundreds of sales reps and teams in the last 2 years, most haven't mastered critical selling skills. And it's preventing them from being promoted, earning great money, and building a great career in B2B sales. So go to therevenueenabler.com, grab a free trial, and join hundreds of salespeople that are closing their skill gaps and mastering sales. There's a link in the video description. I'm looking forward to getting you set up. Give me a shout with any questions.